Meningitis. I'm Dr. Threadgold from Halo. Let's have a talk about it. So first of all, what is meningitis? Well, there's a lining around the brain and spinal cord called the meninges, and essentially that gets inflamed, and that's what causes all the symptoms that we know about. It's usually caused by bacteria and viruses, and the symptoms can range from just feeling a little bit off all the way through to life-threatening and death. But first of all, let's talk about the rash. The thing is that meningitis, like most illnesses, has a rash. Now, in children, a rash in almost every situation when it comes to an infection, the rash signifies the end of the illness. The thing is exactly the same in meningitis, which is why we should never wait for the rash to start. You see, in meningitis, with the rash coming at the end of the illness, it signifies that actually the time to take action has already been and gone. Now, don't get me wrong, taking prompt action at that point is absolutely vital if you see the meningitis rash, which looks like little pinpricks of burst blood vessels under the skin, and if you stretch the skin apart or roll the glass over it, they don't disappear. It's a non-blanching rash. But the thing is, you want to identify these things before it gets to the rash state. So what should we be looking for? Well, the difficulty is, especially in students, the early symptoms can be just like a bad hangover. And with students, as we all know, they like to get bad hangovers. So first things to look for is feeling a bit off. Second thing to look for is a headache. Third thing, a sudden, rapid rising fever. Cold hands, cold feet, even though centrally they feel okay. Photophobia, so fear of the light. And then as it gets more kind of progressed and more advanced, you start to get things like drowsiness, kind of confusion, difficult to wake up, irritability. As I've said, in students, which at the minute is where this outbreak is, those things can be very, very similar to having a really bad hangover. Trust your instincts. If something doesn't feel right, get it checked out, especially if you've got one of the aforementioned red flag symptoms. But Dr. Threadgold, what about the vaccine? The freshers jab covers A, C, W and Y, and the meningitis that's currently active is Meningitis B. So the key message there is, do not think that your child is protected because they've had their childhood jabs or their freshers jabs. What can people do to protect themselves? Meningitis is transmitted by droplets and saliva. So one of the things identified is vape sharing drinks, that kind of thing, close personal contact. And finally, if you have any of the symptoms of meningitis already discussed or have any concerns at all, ring 111 or get yourself to A&E. All for now. See you next week on Wellness Wednesdays.
Call the one you know. Halo Fit.